You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of a short story through to the line edits of a full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. We never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can. We're Americans.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Good to have you here. Good to be here. I am Still in the same boat I was in last week. I am still waiting to have a roof done on my house. Luckily, my contractor is supposed to be here in the morning to take measurements and build me a list of materials. And hopefully by this time next week, we should at least be in process. But anyway, I don't know about anybody else out there, but I am just sick to death of this election already. 2016's election cycle has got to be the biggest smoldering dumpster fire that has ever been a political cycle. Before we get rolling into everything else tonight, let me go ahead and give out the number. If you're listening, you want to call, you want to agree, you want to disagree, you want to talk about something I'm not talking about, you want to add something to what I am talking about. It's all good. The number is 405-648-4798. That's 405-648-4798. Now, that being said about the dumpster fire, we're going to touch on some things that relate to candidate positions throughout tonight's show, but largely I want to avoid mostly talking about the election and hard politics. I want to talk more about these particular issues than the political. You're going to know right offhand who is going to go which way on these issues and why. That's fine. That's fine. I just want to address these issues. And in doing that, I don't know if my friend Diane from the Red Wine is out there listening tonight, but Diane, I know you had said that with you guys being on hiatus, you were looking to vent some. If you're out there listening, feel free to call in and just jump right in here, and you can co-chair the whole show if you want to vent all night long. I'm good with that. If you're not out there, that's fine too. I know where you're at. Anyway, we have a newly released Department of Defense handbook on how to train the military to integrate transgender people into the services. Isn't this grand? They had to write a new government handbook on how to train transgender people into the services. And not just the transgenders, but those that are not confused about whether they're a boy or a girl, have to be redoctrinated about how to deal with these confused people who don't understand that having a penis makes you a male and having a vagina makes you a female. So we have retired General Jerry Boykin, the former chief of the U.S. Army Special Operations Command and a top member of Delta Force. His comments on this were actually pretty good. So he's who I want to concentrate on with this right now. And bang, he said, the primary question is this: how does this transgender social experiment enhance the ability of the U.S. military to fight and win wars? It's beautifully simplistic. He's hitting the nail right on the head. Why should we take our military and turn it upside down to accommodate 0.003% of the U.S. population, of which another 0.003% will want to join the military? Why should we turn it over on end to accommodate 0.0000006% of the United States population? You tell me. Again, this all comes back to what is the purpose of the military? What is the mission of the United States military? It's quite simple. It's to fight and win wars, and to be ready to do so at the drop of a hat. And it goes back to what Douglas MacArthur said at West Point in 1962. MacArthur said, quote, "Your mission remains determined, fixed, unavoidable. It is to win the nation's wars." Great speech. Great speech. So, if you're out there and you're thinking, oh, well, maybe we need to do this, and maybe we, blah, 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 the transgender, it'll just make us a better nation. You tell me how it makes us better. How does doing this enhance the ability of our military to win wars? The current administration has had a devastating impact on our military readiness already. And what Congress should be doing, and what the president should be doing, in every decision that's made regarding the military, the first question should be, how does this enhance readiness? And when I say readiness, I'm talking about the ability to go from a peacetime operation to a wartime operation into fighting mode and to win the nation's wars. That is readiness. In the military, your peacetime job readies you for your wartime mission. And yes, I did spend 10 years in, so I do know a little bit about it. Okay? So you train on a daily basis. Whether you think it's a mundane 7 to 4 job, or whether you're on the swing shift from 3 to 11, or whether you're working overnight from 11 to 7, it doesn't matter in the military. It doesn't matter if you work that weekend shift in the hospital where you're pulling 312s on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you're off Monday through Thursday. Yeah, I've been there and done that. But the fact of the matter is, no matter what you're doing, no matter what your military job in peacetime is, it correlates to a wartime need. And when you do your job effectively in peacetime, it readies you to be more prepared to do it during wartime. So again, the question is, how does integrating transgender people into our military enhance its readiness and ability to fight and win the wars that we will be in? And heck with the wars, even the battles, the skirmishes. How? How does it make us better and stronger? Every one of these social engineering things comes with a training package. That means that some bureaucrat hires somebody to sit down and thoughtfully write out all these new instructions about how to integrate the man who doesn't realize that he's a man because he thinks that his penis makes him a woman, and vice versa. You need to understand that this is going to force every man and woman in a uniform to sit in a classroom and go through hours and hours of classes and exercises every time you throw out a brand new social experiment. It's ridiculous, and it helps nobody. And it's not a one-time thing. It may be monthly, it may be quarterly or semi-annually, but you're going to spend an awful lot of time that could be used on the code of conduct on preparing for war, you're going to spend a lot of that time training, doing these programs that come with these social experiments. And, you know, the spokesperson for the Pentagon says that it's designed to assist our transgender service members in their gender transitions, help commanders with their duties and responsibilities, and help all service members understand new policies enabling the open service of transgender service members. I haven't even eaten dinner yet, and I think I'm about to puke. This is ludicrous, imbecilic, asinine. This is something that needs to not just be put the brakes on, but tumbled backwards. This administration is wreaking irrevocable harm upon our nation, and Do Nothing Congress is sitting by and letting him do it. I don't know what else to say about it, folks. I really don't. It's disgusting. You're taking people that are considered, and this is a military term, squared away, and you're dumping everything they know about military life into a garbage can and setting it on fire in the name of transgender rights. Again, 0.0000003% of this country. And that's worth turning everything upside down for. I don't have a problem if somebody is confused about their gender and still wants to serve in the military. I don't care about their gender. I don't care what they think their gender should be. That's somebody else's problem to deal with. I'm going to tell you now, though, you can't bunk a man who thinks he's a woman with women, and you can't bunk a woman who thinks she's a man with men. There's going to be problems. It's inevitable. As far as their duties and responsibilities, I thought everything was on an equal playing field. Now, why should there be any differences to help commanders with their duties and responsibilities? Aren't women open to combat positions now too? Yeah, just because you think you're a woman doesn't mean you get out of going to combat. Just because a woman thinks she's a man doesn't mean she has to go to combat. You want to help our military commanders? Get the hell out of their business. That's the best thing DC could do for the military, is to stay out of it as much as possible. All right, I've had enough of that crap. It's starting to make my blood boil. So, we talked briefly last week at the end of the show about Obama and his little checklist here with the lame duck session going on, and what he may try to shove down our throats and what he may not try to shove down our throats. He's not going to go quietly, folks. He's not. Okay. Right now, he is in the process of trying another end run around both the U.S. Congress and all 50 states that would impose another mandate that will cost money, jobs, and possibly forcing states to raise taxes as well. Oh, yeah. 21 states have filed a federal lawsuit in U.S. District Court in Sherman, Texas to stop him. Hours after the states filed their lawsuits, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and other business groups filed a similar lawsuit with that same federal court. Obama's new mandate would force employers in all states to pay overtime to certain state employees. These employees include bona fide executive, administrative, or professional workers, as they are not covered by the federal law that requires states to pay overtime for work performed beyond 40 hours in a week. The mandate applies to both private and public sector employees. Now, I know what you're saying. On the surface, this sounds pretty reasonable. It doesn't sound crazy. Why shouldn't any state worker or private sector worker contracted by the state be eligible for overtime if they work more than 40 hours in a week? Well, one reason this hasn't happened yet is that many states are strapped just trying to balance their current budget. Mr. Obama's lack of hope and change, much less his promised economic recovery, hasn't helped anybody in this department. The law says it should be up to the individual states first to decide if and when they should make such a change. Then they can ask Congress to change the law, and it's up to Congress to have the final say. See, this action by Obama administration violates the Fair Labor Standards Act. Only Congress has the power to establish a federal hourly minimum wage. It also violates the Constitution as it forces states to pay their workers higher wages at the expense of state budgets, services, and governmental programs. Obama actually put this into motion a couple of years ago when he told his Labor Department to change this exception for white-collar state employees. The department has now raised the minimum salary cutoff for overtime by more than double. The new rule also forces states to raise that cutoff even higher every 3 years. So as of now, starting December 1st of this year, any state employees will be entitled to overtime if they earn up to $913 per week, regardless of whether they have executive, administrative, or professional responsibilities. State government estimates peg the number of workers impacted at a minimum of 500 and reaching into the thousands per state. Iowa is already projecting its budget to be hit for over $19 million in this new expenditure. Other states are predicting much higher numbers. States like Nevada, who's dependent on its tourism industry, would be hit very hard according to the National Federation of Independent Businesses. Nearly half of all small business in Nevada employ at least one person who'd be affected by this new rule. Not coincidentally, Nevada, through its Attorney General Adam Laxalt, is the lead plaintiff in this lawsuit. In the filing of the lawsuit, Laxalt said this rule pushed by distant bureaucrats in D.C. tramples on state and local government budgets, forcing states to shift money from other important programs to balance their budgets, including programs intended to protect the very families that purportedly benefit from such federal overreach. I could not agree more wholeheartedly. This is a terrible idea, and it is an idea that would actually, it would both positively and negatively impact me, as my position would be affected by this. You don't need to know what I do. You don't need to know what I make. You just need to know that I would be affected by this. Now, it would, at times, provide a little extra money in my paycheck, but at the same time, it would be taking more money out of my paycheck to pay for the little bit of money that I get into my paycheck. So if you don't mind, Mr. Government Official, Mr. National Labor Bureau, Mr. Obama, I'd rather keep my money just where it is now. Okay, I'm fine. Really, it's okay. Federal overreach is already the biggest legacy that Obama will leave behind to the American people. And as he prepares to leave office and force this down our throats, it's hopeful and helpful to remember that the courts have reined him in before. And who knows, maybe they'll do it again here. All right, so our federal government passed a fiscal milestone on the first day of fiscal year 27, which was Monday, October 3rd, when the total federal debt accumulated during the presidency of Barack Obama topped $9 trillion for the first time. That's right. $9 trillion of federal debt. On January 20th, 2009, when Barack Obama was inaugurated, yes, I remember that dark day for our country, the total debt of the federal government was $10.626 trillion. Specifically, $10,626,877,048,913.08. Yeah, I had to go digging for that number too. As close of business hit Friday, September 30th, the last day of the fiscal year, the total federal debt was $19,573,444,713,936.79. At that point, the total federal debt had increased under Obama by $8.946567665,023.71. But on Monday, the first day of the fiscal year, cha-ching, we jumped from 19.573 to 19.642. And that put the debt over $9 trillion under Obama. He has nearly doubled the federal debt, and he's not done yet. Oh, no, he's still got a few months. He might actually get it to $10 trillion or an additional $10 trillion. He might get it to 20. You just never know. $1 trillion is a big, big, big number. You know, for the life of me, I don't understand the tax and spend mentality. I really don't. You know, where's Jack Kemp when we need him? Anyway, so at the close of business on Wednesday, October 5th, the last day for which the Treasury has reported at the time I wrote this up, the total federal debt was $19.663 trillion. That means that so far in Obama's presidency, the federal debt has increased $9,534,448,884.32. Given that there were 118,215,000 households in the United States in June, the latest estimate from the Census Bureau, that $9.036 trillion increase in the federal debt under Obama equals approximately $76,442 per household. This is additional to what we already held in the federal debt. This is an additional $76,000 per household. The Treasury divides the total debt into two major categories. You got your debt held by the public and intragovernmental debt, blah, blah, blah. We don't need to go into all that. All you need to know is that Obama is crucifying this country fiscally speaking, socially speaking, racially speaking, any kind of speaking you want to do. You can't find one thing that he's done that's made this country better. And I challenge you to. And that's the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a little break. And when we come back, we're going to address a Syrian refugee situation. So hold on to your seat, grab something to drink, keep your popcorn warm. Go ahead, play it. It's good, Rick. Play it, play it.
Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me, ain't that America?
All right, welcome back. Second half of the show. And if I'm not mistaken, following me will be Jesse's POV. Is that right, Rick?
That is correct.
That is correct. We have Jesse tonight, so that's good. And after her, are we open or do we have something in there now?
It's still open for the moment.
Still open for the moment. Okay. And all right. So there you go. You got me. You get Jesse's POV tonight, and that's really enough for you. Really, it is, because, you know, I mean, you could do more, and you know, you just don't want to overload your brain too much, right? I mean, because we're about to hit it again here. You know, I'm gonna make you think. Gonna give you some more numbers, not big numbers like before in the trillions, but at the last debate, last presidential candidate debate, Hillary Clinton was asked about her plan to admit 65,000 Syrian refugees into the United States, up from the current quota. I guess that's what Obama has committed to, is a quota of 10,000. So instead of me quoting Hillary, let's just entertain ourselves with listening to the cackling of the candidate herself. Rick, if you would do us the honor of just hitting the button and putting your headset on.
Secretary Clinton, let me ask you about that, because you have asked for an increase from 10 to 65,000 Syrian refugees. We know you want tougher vetting. That's not a perfect system. So why take the risk of having those refugees come into the country?
Well, first of all, I will not let anyone into our country that I think poses a risk to us. But there are a lot of refugees, women and children. Think of that picture we all saw of that 4-year-old boy with the blood on his forehead because he'd been bombed by the Russian and Syrian air forces. There are children suffering in this catastrophic war, largely, I believe, because of Russian aggression, and we need to do our part. We by no means are carrying anywhere near the load that Europe and others are. But we will have vetting that is as tough as it needs to be from our professionals, our intelligence experts, and others. But it is important for us as a policy, not to say, as Donald has said, we're going to ban people based on a religion. How do you do that? We are a country founded on religious freedom and liberty. How do we do what he has advocated without causing great distress within our own country. Are we going to have religious tests when people fly into our country? And how do we expect to be able to implement those? So I thought that what he said was extremely unwise and even dangerous. And indeed, you can look at the propaganda on a lot of the terrorist sites, and what Donald Trump says about Muslims is used to recruit fighters because they want to create a war between us.
Okay. So let's back up a minute. And while I am not a Trump cheerleader, I do call things as I see them. And when Trump mentioned stopping Muslim immigration into this country, he did say that it would be temporary. So to call it a ban is wrong. And if you were listening to my show way back then, you also know that I said he didn't go far enough, and that we should stop all immigration on a temporary basis, with 3 exceptions. And we don't have to go back through my exceptions. You can contact me if you're interested in it. I have no problem sharing it, but in the interest of time, we'll just press on with this story. But he's talking about a temporary cessation until we can sort out who's here. Because we know we have people that have overstayed visas and are here illegally. And we have a liberal administration now, and if Hillary wins, an even more liberal administration in the future, who actually incentivize them to remain here because they give them tax money. They give them your money and my money, whether they deserve it or not. And there's a lot of not deserving that are getting it. The IRS wrote $4 billion in fraudulent checks to people who did not pay taxes and did not work in this country. You tell me how this organization, who will turn an American citizen's life inside out, literally reach into your rectum, grab your tongue, and pull you inside out from the way they went in, over $180, is inept enough to write checks for $4 billion. 177 of those checks went to the same mailing address. But I digress. Let's get back to the Syrians. You know, Hillary, she referred to the video of the little boy in the ambulance that they staged and propped up. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the little boy was hurt. And I don't like to see children suffering. Children are the true innocents in this world, okay? They are born innocent. They are taught to hate. Okay? Whether they hate brown people or red people or yellow people or black people or white people, it's indifferent. It doesn't matter. They are taught to hate. Now, on the other side of that coin, Hillary refuses to acknowledge that of the immigrants that have been admitted to the United States so far, only 28% have been women and children. These refugees, only 28% have been women and children. That's right. That means that 72% are men. And of that 72%, over 80% of that number are fighting age men. Basically, in the Muslim world, that puts them 15 to 50. They're coming here. There is no way to vet them. There is no intelligence service in Syria that is exchanging information on the citizens with the United States that we can vet them through. So if she is serious about saying that she will not allow anyone into this country that poses a risk, oh, I see what she did with her quote. See, did you catch it too? She said she will not let anyone into our country that she thinks poses a risk to us. So it's all based on what she thinks, not reality. Because if you think what she thinks is reality, then you have big problems. So as far as doing our part and talking about how Europe is shouldering such a big burden here, well, that's because they're thousands of miles closer. There's not an ocean between them and Europe. How about housing them in their neighboring countries that have very similar cultures and have all the amenities that they're used to right there? You know, how about staging them closer to home so it's easier for them to return to home when it's time? And she said they're going to have a vetting process that is as tough as it needs to be. No, you won't. Because as I just said, there is no process. There is no informational exchange. There are no citizen databases over there. You know what? If the government in Syria suspects somebody of being anti-government, they either go kill them or they jail them. The same thing they do in Iran and Iraq and Saudi Arabia and Bahrain and Qatar and all these countries over there. Egypt, Libya. It doesn't matter. Well, Egypt, okay, maybe not as much Egypt. You got to be a little more severe in Egypt to go get just picked up. I mean, if that were the case, there wouldn't be any Coptic Christians running around in Egypt still, right? So, don't want to get carried away here. Let's stick with facts. And the fact is that there is no kind of vetting that our intelligence people can do other than people that have been on the ground in the Middle East for years and might know a few of these people. But we're talking about tens of thousands. And Hillary, this is the sad part. This is how bad the media is, okay? They're so propping her up because they didn't even follow up with her wanting to increase from the 65,000 to 165,000 the following year. You can't vet that many people that fast in a country with no intelligence exchange. That pisses me off. All right, so we're going to move on. So, United States Attorney General, such as it is, Loretta Lynch, announced that the Justice Department has awarded a total of 9 grants worth $9.4 million to national and local groups to implement, get this now, the department's guidance on identifying and preventing gender bias in law enforcement response to sexual assault and domestic violence. That's a mouthful. The GIPGBLERSADV, if you will. As part of these efforts, the Attorney General announced more than $3 million in grants to prevent gender bias in law enforcement's response to sexual assault and domestic violence. Now, what these awards are supposed to do, allegedly, is help officers serve the survivors of these awful crimes with sensitivity and respect, leading to deeper trust and to more effective investigations, she told students at Howard University at an event on diversity in law enforcement. See, this is next, folks. They're forcing it on the military. They're forcing open service of LGBTQ, LMNOP, XYZ community in the military, and they're trying to force feed it into local law enforcement. Again, tell me how this makes citizens safer, how this makes it easier or better to enforce the laws that are on the books. This is what police officers do, Attorney General Lynch. They enforce laws. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman that's the victim of the crime. They are to enforce the law and help the victim. That's what police officers do. That's what they've done for decades and decades and decades. Does it matter? Okay. Let's back up. Let's put a situation in play here. Okay. Police respond to a disturbance call. When they arrive, there are two men having a fight. One man is cowering on the ground while the other man is beating him with a frying pan. Let's just go there. Okay, let's just go there. He's using a frying pan. He could use an axe handle. It doesn't matter. Okay? It's all hypothetical to do this, okay? The cops, they hear the ruckus. No one answers the door when they scream that police are here, open up, blah, 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 blah. They hear the violence. They go in. Boom. They take down the man that's beating the other man. They put him on the floor. They handcuff him. They drag him out to the car. They administer help to the other man, possibly with paramedics, possibly on their own, depending on how badly he's hurt. They get statements. They take these guys to jail, or at least take them to the police station to make their statements, find out what's what. Does it matter that they're gay? No, doesn't matter. Just the same way as it doesn't matter if they kick that door open and it's a woman beating a man who's cowered down on the floor with a frying pan. If she's beating his ass with a frying pan, they should arrest her. If he's doing it to her, they should arrest him. It's not what I would want to do to him, but that's what should be done. Personally, I'd unload a round or two, but, here nor there. Police officers follow the law. That's why I'm not a police officer. According to the DOJ's guidance, gender bias, whether explicit or implicit, conscious or unconscious, may include police officers misclassifying or underreporting sexual assault or domestic violence cases, or inappropriately concluding that sexual assault cases are unfounded, failing to test sexual assault kits, interrogating rather than interviewing victims and witnesses, treating domestic violence as a family matter rather than a crime, failing to enforce protection orders, or failing to treat same-sex domestic violence as a crime. In the sexual assault and domestic violence context, if gender bias influences the initial response to or investigation of the alleged crime, It may compromise law enforcement's ability to ascertain the facts, determine whether the incident is a crime, and develop a case that supports effective prosecution and holds the perpetrator accountable. So in other words, she thinks that law enforcement is completely incapable without her interjecting this into their daily routine. They are absolutely inept and cannot function and do their job properly because of perceived bias. I'm just stupefied at the waste of taxpayer money. She went on to say, in some cases, a police officer may discriminate against victims of sexual assault or domestic violence because of a general bias against women or LGBT individuals, she said. More commonly, discrimination may be based on explicit stereotypes about women or LGBT individuals. Women aren't LGBT? Why does she have to distinguish between women and LGBT? Look, I get it, okay? I'm just playing a little devil's advocate here. She says that acting on stereotypes about why women or LGBT individuals are sexually assaulted or about how a victim of domestic violence or sexual assault should look or behave can constitute unlawful discrimination and profoundly undermine an effective response to these crimes. So we have an attorney general who wants police to be able to investigate better so that the guilty people are held accountable, while we have her boss, the President of the United States, turning them out of prison in droves. Tell me how this makes sense. What in the hell are they thinking? She continued to say that if an officer believes a sexual assault to be less severe because the victim was assaulted by an acquaintance or was intoxicated when the assault occurred, or based on stereotypical assumptions about a victim who is a gay man or lesbian woman assaulted by his or her partner, that is gender bias and may constitute unlawful discrimination. I have yet to see a cop, and I know many. I know cops on the local, city, county, the state level, federal level, that investigate all kinds of different crimes. And I've never heard any of them say, oh, she was just a lesbian, she deserved it. Not one. Never. Does it happen? Maybe. I can't say. Because like I said, I've never heard it. Are there bad cops out there? Yes, there are. There are some cops out there that should not be allowed to wear a badge. Okay? And they do need to be weeded out. But having the federal government butt into local law enforcement is not the way. And this is certainly counterintuitive to every other program about prison and jailing offenders that Obama's been trying to work. The Attorney General wants more arrests on the right way, but Obama turns them out of prison. I don't get it. I really don't. But $9.4 million. So real quick, we're almost at the top of the hour here. I got to button this up. Russian military is considering the possibility of regaining its Soviet-era bases on Cuba and in Vietnam, their defense minister said Friday. How about that? That's one nobody picked up on. I'd like to hear that talked about in the next debate. Deputy Defense Minister Nikolai Pankov told lawmakers Friday that the ministry is considering the possibility of establishing footholds far away from Russia's borders. And responding to the lawmaker's question if the military could return to Cuba and Vietnam, Pankow said the military is reviewing a decision to withdraw from them, but did not offer specifics. As for our presence on faraway outposts, we are doing this work, he said. Boom. You think that maybe Putin has Obama bent over a chair just a little bit here? Huh? You think? There's not a damn thing Obama can do to stop it either. So anyway, folks, that's not all of it, but we're at the top of the hour. It's okay. We ran out of time again. Just want to thank you for being here. If you like the show, tell your friends. If your friends like the show, you probably need new friends, but they and you are welcome every Wednesday with me right here on KLRN Radio. Stay tuned for Jesse's POV coming up next. And I am the Grouch. Peace.
That America, you and me, ain't that America, something to see, baby, ain't